All right, are you wondering where your state sits compared to Idaho on national crime stats? Well, you're about to find out. Stick around. Hey, our real estate team gets calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you trying to learn more about North Idaho. So if you guys are interested in making the move up here, give us a call. If this is your first time to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. All right, welcome. Today is all about crime stats. It's near and dear to our heart. We got 3 cops in the room, former cops. I'm joined by the lovely and talented and deep-voiced Eric Boardman.
Thank you.
And Austin Johnson, also from our team, also a former cop. And we're going to talk about crime stats today. Shocker, I know. We do talk about that a lot, but it's important to many people when they're thinking about where to move to kind of iron that out. And I'm very excited to announce that Idaho has now taken the #1 spot for the lowest crime rate by state.
Lowest total crime rate.
Congratulations, Idaho.
Yeah, it was New Hampshire last year. So we just had new crime stats come out last week, and I think I immediately hit you up because I like to watch that. I mean, I don't think there's any better representation. And you've heard me say this, but I think states are run like businesses, right? Like, is what we're doing effective? Are our policies effective? Are citizens wanting to move there? Mm-hmm. Crime rate is one of those key factors. Are you doing something right? Do people feel safe living in this particular state?
Right. Like, quality of life is a big factor for a lot of people. That is like the #1 driving thing for folks that are looking to move here. Austin has a puppy in his lap, by the way, if you're looking at that ball in his lap and wondering what the hell that is.
Hi, Hank.
That's Hank.
Yeah.
Did you know that you named him after my incredibly vicious rooster?
You're a violent rooster.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How did he meet his end?
Hank got shot. He got shot in a drive-by on the farm, which says something about Idaho safety, I guess.
So he was repping the wrong colors on the farm.
Yeah, he took a 22 round to the face.
Yeah.
This Hank is much sweeter.
Yeah, he's nice.
I think he's going to change the name around, which I appreciate.
I hope
that.
so.
Yeah. So there's a dog in his lap. There you go.
Cool.
I have a blanket.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm always jacked about like breaking down some states' crime rates. We get a lot of people. A lot of our clients are moving from other states. I think it's important, and they're entertaining the idea of Idaho along with several other states. So we've done a video like this before, and I think we ended up a little Washington focused just because their rank kind of shocked us.
And we're not trying to talk trash about other states. That's not the intent. It does come through a little bit, so I apologize if we're a little bit biased, but we're just being real, and these are real numbers, and we know that if we say something bad about a state regarding crime, it's not you guys that are living in those states. We understand that. There is a very small and vocal and violent minority that is causing a lot of these problems, and it's not the majority of folks living in those states. We get it.
Yeah, and they're called politicians, right? Honestly, I get a little frustrated with that sometimes, and I've even said it myself, and I really don't mean it. Sometimes I'll say, well, the people that live there deserve what they elected into office, and there are some really good people in every one of these states that probably didn't, and they can't leave.
No, and it tends to be these large metropolitan areas, right? This is a common theme that we just keep coming back to, these large metro areas that are very blue, and they dictate the politics of the entire state. So you've got a very conservative, rural, large area outside of that, and they tend to be just good old boys and girls trying to live their lives and raise their families, and unfortunately they're dictated by these dumb policies.
Yes, and what do we say? The tail wags the dog,
yes,
right? Like
exactly.
State of Oregon, I think, is an excellent example of that. If you go to the east side of Oregon, that is like rural and farms, and there was a big movement where they wanted to become Greater Idaho. The state would obviously never allow that to happen. There's too many taxpayers on the east side of Oregon that pay for a lot of the
it's happened
policies of Western Oregon.
You know, California's been through it. It's been going on for years. Washington's really getting a taste of it right now. Oregon, Colorado, states that were, you know, in your mind, well, no, not necessarily California, but in your mind, like Colorado, when I was growing up, I was like, it's a rugged state.
Yeah.
Right? It's like manly. No, it's slipping, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's just send it. The 3 states we just talked about are all in the top 5.
Oh, boy.
Colorado's number 2.
Jeez.
Louisiana overtook Washington at number 3. Washington's number 4, and Oregon's now number 5.
That's for worst crime. So
Total
the worst
crime rate
is New Mexico.
Yeah, total crime rate by state. So it takes into account property crime and violent crime. New Mexico's still, I mean, that one's funky.
You got a border state.
Low population. Albuquerque's bad. Huge cartel influence there. And they don't I don't know, their cops per capita is really low, and they don't get paid for crap.
Colorado surprises the hell out of me being number 2, to be honest.
We did a few years ago when I was still working as a deputy. We did a prisoner transport. They wanted to extradite this guy that got hooked up in Colorado that had charges back in Douglas, and so they sent us out there to grab him. And that was the first time I'd ever been to Colorado Springs, and I was blown away. I was disgusted.
Really?
You're just driving down the highway and there's just homeless people everywhere.
I wonder when that
Everywhere.
switched for Colorado. California's been like that forever, so I just don't remember any different. But
I've got a pretty good idea.
yeah, right about when they legalized a certain
man,
drug.
and I want to get out in front of that too, because I long joked, and I know some people are gonna disagree with me on this. If you're smoking a bowl, working on your car in your garage, eating Funyuns, I don't care. Like,
right.
That to me is like that's a totally different thing. I think when you legalized, when you were one of the first states to do it, it just attracted a different contingent of people, and I think hard drug use and property crime followed it.
It does, especially when those states are like, you know what, that's working really well. Why don't we decriminalize methamphetamine and heroin and whatever else?
Yeah.
Like, let's try that.
We've brought it up in another
How'd that
podcast,
work
man.
out?
In 2014, Washington, who's sitting here now at number 4 in the country, in 2014 was 30th in the country.
Wow.
So how do you not go back and analyze what has changed in the last 10 years? Every state should be doing that. And if Chat gets its stuff together, I'm going to figure out where Colorado was in 2014 as well.
That'd be good to know.
Because I'd love to see it. And I'd venture to guess it'd be very similar, because I consider Oregon, Washington, Colorado, people, man, in 2010s thought about those areas very similar. Awesome mountains, fishing, hunting, like outdoors, all of those really great things. And then they all had bigger cities in them, Denver, Seattle, Portland, which are all cool cities in their own right. So I think it's important. I mean, first step of the 12-step process is you got to admit you have an effing problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, if you look at people looking to move west, right? I mean, half these down here in the top, 5 are East Coast,
which is surprising.
And so, like, people looking to move west, and then you're like, oh man, well, Colorado, nah. New Mexico, nah.
I mean, look at Montana.
Montana falls right in the middle, and that one's surprising.
That's number 22.
I feel like that's.
We got to call up Governor John Dutton and tell him fucking fix the state.
Yeah,
I think
truly.
it's Billings. Billings is the center of all the shit that happens in Montana.
Man, I went over there
Billings
for
is kind of a dump.
It's so bad.
I went over there for a line of duty death when I was on honor guard and talked to a lot of their cops there. They were book and release on meth and burglary. Ugh. So they were book and releasing out of their college towns for meth. And once that starts happening, it's like, oh, okay. Then it takes the cops longer to write the report than it does to put them in. So how many of them are just not going to rest on it?
Exactly.
And how long before the criminals realize, whatever, bro, I'm going to be out.
And you can't blame the cops. I've been there. I lived through it when California decriminalized it. And the first couple of times you're writing a dude a ticket for a little baggie of meth, and you're just like, well, this is kind of dumb. Yeah. What am I doing here? I got to go book this into evidence now. And then he's getting a ticket and he's on his way. Fuck. And then after a few of those, you're like, why even bother?
Yeah. And it's apathy, man. And then judges start following along with that too, where they're like, oh, it's just drug possession, without having any knowledge that those drugs prompt and end up being a lot of your harder, more violent crimes, especially with meth and fentanyl.
Yep.
But those turned into your more violent crimes and are the crux of most of your property crime.
Oh yeah. Methamphetamine was like, bar none.
Yeah.
Like every time there's a property crime.
Yeah.
99% of the time it was some methed out dude.
And meth induced.
They're doing two things. They're either doing property crimes or they're taking apart vacuum cleaners in the garage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that has value, but the property crime is
I remember watching on surveillance, they were raking the woods. It's like, this is just, they're out there getting it, dude.
You ever
Just
wonder like
raking.
what
Trump said to rake the woods. I'm going to rake the woods.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
You ever wonder what's going on in their mind?
Oh, dude,
like,
many times. And tell me, you do not always find a pocket full of rocks.
Oh,
Especially
yeah.
on the
Oh,
freeway.
yeah.
And they're like, what's up? They're like, no, those are really cool rocks, man. I'm looking at them like,
you know what that's called?
gravel, bro.
That's gravel.
It's called the flail.
The flail.
Their little collection of rocks is called their flail.
Oh, that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's got a name, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I learned that searching through a car where they had like different, it was the best training tool ever. They'd like tweaked out and written all over the inside of their car. So I learned all the lingo and verbiage from inside of this vehicle. It was awesome.
That and the coloring books.
Yes.
The paint by numbers, like super detailed, like fuzzy coloring books everywhere. Every car.
This conversation is very relatable to some cops out there.
Well,
bro.
What we're talking about.
And we don't, I mean, we know what we're talking about when it comes to meth, but there's a lot of cops out there that are going to say, well, what about crack? I mean, up here, we didn't have crack.
No, I barely dealt with that. Barely.
Yeah, it's East Coast. It's East Coast. It's definitely in Florida. I know it's there, but and I think that's just more of an East Coast and South thing. We just didn't. I found crack up here maybe twice, and both times it was passed through, and they weren't from even the Northwest.
That's what I found up in Superior one time, just by happenstance. Like this dude committed crimes against his girlfriend, and we were looking for him for questions, and we found him because he pissed all over her steps after he went in her house and took a bunch of stuff. And we found him, and then we ended up getting a search of his backpack, and there was a whole, I mean, it still had the shape of the Pyrex glass. Like it was he had just made that stuff pretty recently, and that didn't go well for him, but he was just trying to get some of the stuff out of his ex-girlfriend's apartment, and then he went to jail for possession and distribution of crack cocaine.
Good time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was the first time. I mean, we really never saw that. Down in Minneapolis, I think they got more of it as you get to some of that inner city stuff.
You know how I could tell?
Bigger metro areas.
Is our office, we had like boxes of Nick kits, Nick tests.
Oh, yeah.
You guys do those? And, the crack ones are just like always full.
Yeah, totally. Meth is like...
You're like doing shady deals in the back parking lot trying to get Nick kits for meth from the other dudes because everybody's trying to get them,
Oh, they were super common.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I think, and I do want to put a caveat on this. There will be some graphs included with this that we can post and you guys can kind of review by state. I know it's natural, and in your state, you want to scroll down and see how you're doing.
Where am I at?
This is all coming straight from the FBI. You can find it. It's like their FBI Send Center. So I went and pulled all the 40 pages of Excel spreadsheet and then compiled all the data because I want it to be as accurate as possible when people are reviewing this, because sometimes either whichever way you think, whatever your values are, you get accused of skewing some numbers or at least questioning your resources. And I don't want that to be a thing. The only thing I would say about this is some of these states have cooked their books. And by that, I mean, I think in a previous video, I was talking about the state of Washington, where all of a sudden, all of their crime trends are trending up. And then all of a sudden, one year, you had like a 25% drop in misdemeanor petty theft. Or misdemeanor theft. I was like, get out of here, dude. That's just decriminalizing it and tossing cases.
Yeah.
So each state has the ability to kind of manipulate. So I would say some of these ones in the top 5 are likely even worse because of apathy, and citizens get used to it. They don't even call the cops anymore.
Yeah.
And then when there are crimes committed, if they don't go to court or they don't prosecute, then they don't even make it to the books.
Right.
I'm surprised by a couple on the low end and a couple on the high end. The one that catches my eye on the high end is Tennessee sitting at 6th worst.
Yeah.
That's kind of a surprise because
Memphis,
Tennessee, but Tennessee's one of those states that's getting a lot of retired cops too.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot. Like, coming from California, cops are looking at Tennessee and Idaho. And those are pretty much it. Idaho wins out a lot because it's drivable in a day. Tennessee's a flight, but that surprised me. I know a bunch of guys that retired and went out that way.
Yeah, Tennessee's jumped a lot in the last 5-10 years. And I worked with some guys with my reserve detail that were cops in Tennessee, and they just don't pay very well.
Yeah, the pay is horrible.
Their pay and bennies are really, really poor, and I think they have a hard time filling their ranks. And with that, you probably don't have a lot of people going in there to change the policies and make it a little bit more aggressive.
And you've got several big cities several big cities in there that you know how that goes.
Yeah,
big cities tend to have big crime.
Well, Memphis has a big gang problem. I mean, Memphis is a rough city. That's one of the worst in the country right now. So that one's a little bit surprising.
Okay, what about Alaska though, dude? That's way up there. And Texas.
Dude,
Texas
Alaska,
I could see, I guess. But Alaska?
Apparently, I don't know where I saw this recently, but it's just so vast. They don't have a lot of law enforcement presence, and there's a lot of crime that happens there.
I wonder how much crime happens, out on reservations and things like that, and it's hard to get.
Yeah,
is that may be a factor?
But I guess
Alaska also has some big cities too.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess I don't know how much of that is getting reported either. Like you said, like some of those stuff probably just goes unreported.
So if you go purely based on violent crime rate, Alaska's number 1.
What?
Whoa.
Purely on per capita per 100,000, Alaska's number 1.
They just be wilding up in Canada.
Well, I think
Alaska.
Yeah, but have you ever? We've all watched those shows and be like, I could be Alaska State Patrol, right? Like
Every
get
cop
pilots
out there has a little dream in the back of his head
Yeah.
about going Alaska State Troopers, dude.
But think about it. They have to fly out to a lot of those villages. And man, some of those, they're violent crimes by the time they get out there. And a lot of them go unsolved. A lot of their homicides go unsolved. And then I think it's just a matter of geography and then low population. Remember, this is a per 100,000 assessment.
Oh, sure.
So even, that one, Alaska and New Mexico. New Mexico's number 2 for violent crime rate. Tennessee's number 3 for violent crime rate per 100,000.
That kind of blows my mind.
I know, it's a little bit wild.
The Alaska thing is cool. I know a couple guys that were U.S. Marshals and worked up that way. One of them is a writer now, Mark Cameron. He came on my previous podcast that I had, and cool dude, tells some great stories. He writes really good books. So if you're looking for like crime books that are centered around Alaska, that will kind of delve into that whole world. Those are really neat. Yeah, Mark Cameron, check them out.
That is cool.
Yeah. Okay. So, we're gonna save one for last, and it's gonna blow your mind. It's the asterisk at the bottom. I don't even want to give any clues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit.
I just don't get it.
That one boggles my mind.
Right, it is wild. And look, man, I'm not gonna not bring it up. You know what I mean? But when you're breaking down some of these states, we're right next. We can throw a rock and hit the state of Washington right now.
That's mind-blowing
Right.
to people.
And
How's it not carry over?
Right. And then Oregon's the same thing. We butt right up to Oregon. So why is it that Idaho's sitting here at 50 and you have Washington and Oregon in the top 5?
Well,
I mean, honestly,
could it be politically?
man, at some point in time, you have to look at what you are encouraging your citizens to do or not do. Right? Like there has to be some accountability. When cops in Spokane are looking at it saying it would take me longer to book this person and write a report than the time that they'll spend in jail, what do you expect to yield?
Right.
You're going to end up with a population, most commonly illicit drug users. That's just the truth, especially when it's property crime and even now violent crime. But what accountability is there for them? They don't have any skin in the game.
That's the key word that plays into all of this. Accountability.
There has to be some from a state side. And no matter which way you fall on the argument of, is it are they a victim? Are drug addicted people victim? I can honestly feel empathy for a lot of the ones that get caught up in this life really early. And we've all walked into a house where we've looked at a teenage kid and we're like, bro, you didn't have a chance, right? And you hope they can get their way out, but you still feel for them. But that doesn't mean sometimes caring for somebody is holding them accountable.
Oh, yeah.
And giving them enough consequence on the one side that they actually want to change and alter the course, alter their path.
Well, like prime example, when I worked in Wisconsin, we were in Superior. So we bordered Duluth. We just had a bridge between us and the St. Louis River. And we would get guys that would come over from Duluth and try to cause a ruckus in Superior or in Wisconsin. But we didn't put up with it as law enforcement. Like, they were going to go to jail. Like, we weren't just going to kick them loose. Our courts were a little, better in Duluth. They just weren't prosecuting anything. So these guys are just like, book and release, get out. Like, they weren't getting held accountable. And then they'd come over to Wisconsin and try to pull that crap. And like, they didn't mess around in Wisconsin.
I think I know the real reason. If you're fucking around out there and doing crime and you get pulled over by a dude in a cowboy hat, there's a 150% chance you can get your ass beat and go to jail.
That's probably true.
Am I wrong?
Nope. Yeah, you're not wrong.
So
Yeah.
there it is.
Well,
like we were there's a bar fight outside of one of the bars downtown Superior, and this was like during COVID, so all of Duluth was like shut down. But of course, Wisconsin, they're like, we're gonna keep drinking.
Yep.
And so the bars were open. Well, there's this big fight, and I'm in the middle of it, and dude's not giving me his hands. He's tucking his hands underneath him, and so I'm at the level of force of strikes, and I'm hitting him. And the dude, there's like a friend of his that's standing right here just chirping me. He's like, that's police brutality. You can't punch him like that. And I'm just ignoring him and giving this dude commands to give me his hands. And this dude's like about to get in it, and then another dude comes up behind him and grabs him. He's like, no, dude, you're next, bro. He's like, they don't fuck around here. He's like, you'll be next. But it was in a sense, you're kind of like, right. Like we're not going to allow that kind of behavior to go unrecognized. You know, like we're going to hold them accountable.
That's the accountability side.
Exactly.
That makes all the difference. And it's nothing against the cops out there.
No.
Like we would never say that. It's the policies.
It's the
administration.
Yes.
It's the politics of whatever city you're in. We get it.
Well, and that absolutely happens here. That holds true here.
Yeah.
People forget, and that was always one of my favorite things. Walk up, license, registration, proof of insurance. So I see some paraphernalia in the back, go ahead and step out. Oh, I don't want you to search my car. Well, state of Idaho. I'm in Idaho. Yeah, bro.
Shit, a little beat of sweat.
Yeah, buddy. You're in Idaho. You cross that state line, there is an expectation of accountability here, right? It still is criminalized here. So people have a fear of coming here if you're engaged in that criminal activity. I don't care if that makes them uncomfortable. As a citizen of the community, I don't care if that makes them uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You get what I mean? So I think that's a big driving force, and I just wish some states, because I grew up in Washington, man. I still got some ties there. I grew up on the South Hill. My mom was a cop there. She got shot in the line of duty in Spokane for that freaking community. So it guts me a little bit to see what a shithole it's turned into.
Yeah.
And I wish to hell that they would look at some policies of other states and just adopt some common sense ones. They shouted Nadine Woodward down, who was the former mayor of Spokane, because she came in and recriminalized open air illicit drug use. And they shouted her down for it. And it's not just the ramifications on crime rates. What happens if you actually have to go to the ER? What happens if you have to go to Sacred Heart or DEET? Can you get in there? No, you're fighting drug seekers in there the entire time. Yeah. Or victims of crimes when it's dope or on dope or drug rips. Mm-hmm. So I just wish that some states would just start, from a 10,000 foot perspective, say what's working in other states that could potentially work here.
And they won't until they can break down the wall of saying, oh, it's a conservative state or whatever. And then
right.
Their politics are getting in the way of them making the right decisions. And that pisses me off.
Dude, and we just talked about this. Like people go, it's like Tourette's.
Yeah.
It's like immediately putting up a stop. You're like, oh, it's Trump. Like it literally is like Tourette's. Like you won't even bring it up in a conversation. You're like, no, bro, hang on, reel back in. This is about crime stats.
Yeah.
Why is it that your state's gone from 30th to 4? Now, used to be 3, but 30th to 3 in 10 years.
This sounds like a conversation you might have had this weekend, Derek.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's gotten feisty, and I don't think I'm alone in that. There's probably a lot of people out here that feel the same way after Charlie Kirk got assassinated. It was like, you know what? I'm done being quiet and kind of taking the high road. How many of you guys have seen those conversations and they're just spouting off a whole bunch of shit? And it really started when they started cop hating.
Yep.
It was like, by policy, I can't really get engaged in this, so I wouldn't. And then you watch it and watch it and watch it. And after this, it's like, no, I'm not going to let that go by. Like in this one, it was, illegal aliens do not receive free health care in the United States.
Okay, let me preface this, or let me back this up. This is a conversation you're having with family members, right?
Yes.
I think we might have the same family members.
Yeah,
actually.
maybe.
We're related somehow because I have that same conversation. And yeah, so these are things they are saying. So these are commonly said things on the other side, which tells me there's an echo chamber, and I'm
right.
there's an echo chamber on both sides, right? And they're not good because you things get skewed. But the words coming out of your family members' mouths are so wrong.
Right.
I don't know where they're getting their information, CNN, but you know what I mean? Like
it's and this comes back to what happened and how that dude was murdered, right? I think we talked about this with Dave in our other podcast, but if what you're ingesting is training you to dehumanize the other side,
right,
to the point where they're less than you, you have moral superiority and they're less than you and they have none. That's where you get like the name calling and the willingness to say something like, yeah, he was a piece of shit. I don't care that he died, right?
Yeah.
Because you're morally superior. You've put yourself on a different pedestal than them. And then you can refute any fact-based argument or not even have one. Just to explain it away by calling you a racist or a radical or
bigot.
Yes. Or what did we get called? Trailer Park Joe Rogan is what our podcast got related to.
Which, you sold a few trailers.
Yeah,
I sold a trailer.
Absolutely.
I just did too. Yeah.
So maybe they're right. I don't know.
Yes, if you
Trailer Park Joe Rogan. I want a sign that says Trailer Park Joe Rogan. Yeah.
If that means that we're representing a community that is now ranked the safest in the country, and we believe in Second Amendment rights, and we believe in minimal government intrusion, and a property tax rate that's likely a quarter of what you pay, Yeah, I'll take that.
Sign me up.
Yes, and a community that appreciates their cops and encourages civil discourse.
And Idaho's doubling down on that. There are amazing people doing a lot of work to move the needle farther in the right direction for us, working on state sovereignty so that Idaho really becomes a shining example, like a beacon in the night of how to run a state. I get more excited about it every day because of the people that we get to talk to doing this podcast, that I'm like, oh, we're good. And if we're not good, then the rest of the country has fallen already.
Right.
And I'm good with that too. I'll die here.
Well, isn't that what a republic is all about?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not a democracy. We're not run by one federal government. It was never intended to be that way. A republic, each state, I had this discussion with my uncle, who's also leans that way, but he and I can have reasonable conversations. But each state, to me, is competing for the most valuable resource, good, productive members of society. So those productive members of society should be able to move. And especially now with the ability to telework, we're getting a lot of those. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't they select the states? Mm-hmm. And then as another state, if you're losing citizens, you're losing productive members of society, wouldn't you try to look at why? Maybe you're taxing the living piss out of them, and then in return, they're getting one of the most violent states in the country. That to me doesn't seem like a good trade-off.
Mm-hmm. No, it's pretty damn obvious. If you run a state like a business, which you should, it's pretty clear. I don't know what it will take to get the politicians in other states to recognize that. And once again, I think their political blinders are on, and they'll refuse to do anything that would be construed as a conservative ideal.
Right. And it's just, I can't. I mean, I said it before this. I think TDS is a real thing. I think it's like, again, it provides some of those folks this defense mechanism to easily just be able to shout you down immediately, even in the face of just, I mean, this was part of the argument this weekend. I don't care about your fact-based arguments.
That says a lot.
I don't care about your fact-based arguments. I'll just continue to refute that with my logic. It's like,
that's a direct quote, which makes no sense, by the way.
If you could just go back and think about it makes sense if you don't think about it. But I do think it's valuable to at least discuss it and say that's where it's so difficult to find common ground. I mean, how do you have that open, candid discussion? Like I said, first step of the process, this individual lives in Oregon and was trying to explain to me how Portland is safer than Coeur d'Alene.
I'd say there's statistics to refute that. Not to mention anecdotal statements that would refute that as well.
Right.
Well, I think so much of the issue too is nobody's willing, not nobody, but so many people aren't willing to be wrong.
Yes.
They don't.
Right.
They just can't fathom that they were fed incorrect information or whatever. And that's, I think that's the big thing with what Charlie Kirk was doing, was having conversations with people, letting people talk, but finding some kind of common ground with that person, and I think that's what we're lacking in a lot of areas, especially one side that just won't get off that hill. Right. They'll die on there. And even if you put this piece of paper in front of them, you're like, this is life. This is it.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, that's fake news.
Well, Cash Patel and Trump and...
Okay, this was...
exactly.
I do want to bring that up, okay? Because I know people will say that. I'd be like, well, the FBI know Cash Patel and blah, 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 Trump. And they're going to freaking just Tourette's again, right? But FBI, this data came out from them, and it wasn't exactly the most favorable FBI, right? It had been weaponized. Of that, I have zero doubt. I mean, Comey's in it now. He's in a mess, and he deserves to be.
Yeah.
But the FBI, I always used to think, should be above reproach. It shouldn't have anything to do with either party. Neither party should be able to weaponize the DOJ.
Right.
It should be a totally separate. I feel the same way about the military. But they shouldn't be weaponized. They should have nothing to do with politics. They should be standard, and they should have accountability and expectations, and it should be the same across the board. Yeah. So these stats came out before that. And again, this is with the state's ability to cook books. So it's fascinating to me when you actually break down. Thank you, chat, I got some data from 2014 from these same, because it dates it back to 1979. That would be an interesting one too, to look at crime analysis through the 10 years and see what they've done. Because if you're in a business and you've been trending down, don't you think you'd go, man, Why are we trending down and they're trending up?
Yeah, that's where in a business, the CEO would get fired.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And like, okay, we're not accountable to the people that, the shareholders.
Yes. Right.
And citizens of the state are shareholders.
Right.
Why can't we look at it like that? It's pretty damn simple.
I agree, but my dad used to say this, and it makes a lot more sense. And back then, I was like, he was like hard conservative before it was cool. Like he was all about that, but said the problem with the bureaucracy is after it's just the normal life cycle of bureaucracy. After a while, it stops existing for the people in which it was originally established for and begins existing for its own benefit. And they completely lose sight of what they were originally there for. I think we've seen that VA in past years. I think we've seen it with other huge bureau, the IRS. Yeah. I mean, that was not the intention, is to go extract every freaking dollar and treat citizens like resources to be exploited. I don't think it was that way. So states are the same way. Then they keep voting for the same person over and over again for a lot of the reasons we talk about in our other podcasts, because they're the incumbent and they're so entrenched. It's hard to get them out.
Yep.
Well, I think I think the Electoral College is screwed.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't, because you've got rural America, which I feel like is the U.S., right? Like that's
the backbone.
That's the backbone. That's where people, work their tails off and make a hard living, but they get so outnumbered by these giant cities. Why can't it just be a vote, a real
we have the
vote,
technology to do that now.
Right. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, I get why they did it then. Like, they didn't have the resources, technology to be able to make, every person cast it. Now we absolutely have the technology to do it.
Yep.
So it should just be a numbers. It should be like, hey, how many, not the Electoral College.
100%.
I don't know, man. Hang on. I'm going to pull something up. Ooh. I see where you're going, and I love the idea of the concept. But think about this for a second. You're talking about a straight up popular vote.
Yep.
Yeah.
The population of Los Angeles is 3.88 million in 2024. What's the population of Coeur d'Alene, Rathdrum, Post Falls?
175,000? No, probably not even that.
Yeah. What's the total what's the population in Boise and Ada County?
Oh gosh.
Like 500?
No, it's not even that. I think it's like 250 or 300. Okay. So if everybody in LA voted, their votes would mean 10 times more. They have 10 times more the power. And especially when you're fighting for resources.
You're right. Even the whole population of Idaho as a whole is 2 million.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you break it down, that's why, because they didn't want middle America to get lost and have absolutely no voting power. It's just like it is in states, right? Where rural parts are often very red. It's blue collar, hardworking, like family driven farms, stuff like that. And they just get absolutely washed out by the big population centers.
Yeah.
So that's why, honestly, Electoral College works in our favor more than it hurts. I love the idea and the concept, but we're also very secluded here. We're sheltered from a lot of the bullshit that goes on across the rest of the country. Every time I go into a big city, it's like, oh my God. Because if these people were voting for what rights and freedoms and values I will hold in North Idaho, no thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So I think it's state autonomy is super important. So I did find, if you take Oregon, for example, right now they're sitting in the top 5 in crime rate across the country. 10 years ago, they were 17th.
Oh, wow. Well, okay. So give me Washington, because I know Washington used to be
30th.
Yeah. 10 years
30th.
ago. 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
30th.
10 years ago, they were 30th for total crime rate. And then they've jumped up. But we go back to our old analogy, right? It's like you throw a frog in boiling water, he jumps out. You put a frog in lukewarm water and gradually increase the heat, he'll boil to death.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They broke their own system. They did it too fast, too much, too fast.
What do you say to the people, because you'll get pushback, and it's not just from people that, like born and raised Idahoan, born and raised wherever. We hear it a lot from other states too, but like they'll say, hey, go fix your own state's problem before you move here. I hear that all the time.
Man, I get it, but once it's past a certain point, I think Bill Kirk said it, and he would love to be able to do everything he could to fix Washington. Yep. You end up so entrenched. And I think, and it's going to get worse because they're losing more good people. I've got several clients right now that are selling businesses there in order to move here,
Yeah.
or actively trying to move their businesses out of Washington to move here.
Well, that's just like, I mean, I love Minnesota. Minnesota is a great state to grow up in. I mean, the outdoor stuff that, I mean, you do everything there. And same with Wisconsin. They're great states, but they have slipped past the point of being too far gone. Like Minneapolis, St. Paul has destroyed that city, that state. You've got Minneapolis, St. Paul, and then Duluth, and the policies and politics in those major cities, it's just like Washington. They have ruined it because Washington is gorgeous.
I love it, man.
You have everything in, like, Washington is such a diverse state. You've got high desert, you've got mountains, you've got ocean,
Palouse.
All of that, but it's just not worth living there because as a citizen, you're not going to get treated correctly.
Well, it just feels like there's no property. When you start talking to people moving here from there, and they're giving you the differences in property taxes, because Idaho catches a lot of shit because we have a state income tax, right? And that's a consideration. Please go do your homework. We have another podcast where we talk a lot about taxes.
Yes.
And really like find out what your individual tax burden is per state. I'll tell you this, Washington's ranked in the bottom 6. But regardless, you don't feel like you have any property ownership. One of the most freeing things in the world is owning your own property. Mm-hmm. It sucks when you realize you're just leasing it from the state that you live in.
Yeah, you're paying, $9,000-$10,000 a year in property tax,
right?
And you come over here for a comparable property, and you're paying $2,000, $3,000.
I have some. They pay nearly 4 times what they're going to pay for their house here, and the house here is nearly double the value.
So if you're looking at a state and you're like, well, there's no income tax. That sounds great at face value.
Look it up.
They're going to get you somewhere else.
Well, and they'll hide it. And they just did a $9 billion tax increase.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll help.
Yeah. Here's another one for Colorado folks out there listening. And I do apologize because I think Colorado's another one of those states that's absolutely incredible.
Oh, yeah.
With great people in it. What's up, our buddy Rob?
Yeah. We got a few out there working the streets too, dude. Yeah. You brought up Colorado Springs. One of our boys is out there just hammering it, trying to see if he can make it work to come up here. But they, in 2014, 27th in the country. Now we're sitting at number 2.
Holy cow.
So what's changed? That's again, there's a lot of things you could point at, and it's probably not any one thing. It's a combination of all of it, but a lot of it is decriminalization of criminal activities.
Yep.
You stopped giving cops the ability to interrupt crime by taking away a lot of their proactive measures. That's a huge part of it.
I wonder how much immigration policy has to do with that as well.
Oh, man. Well, because they had a deal where they took over like a apartment complex up there and we're tossing people out, and then we're making light of it. And then you talk to cops that were actually there. That's another thing I get crapped on a lot. They're like, oh, you're just taking information, you're just regurgitating whatever they say. No, this is like talking to people that live there.
Do the job.
Yeah.
Like actually we're there.
From the source.
Yes.
Yeah.
Believe me, not your own lying eyes is what you're telling me right now. No. I like to talk to people that actually live there. Mm-hmm. And a lot of this, when we're slinging mud about Oregon, this is people that have left Oregon when they've raised their families there and they had multi-generation. They've lived there for 50 years.
I can't imagine uprooting, but the motivation is so strong with these people, and I fully get it, that they're willing to do that. And that says a lot. And that's where states should be taking notice and be like, this multi-generational family that's been working hard in this state and has raised multiple generations and owns all these properties, and they're willing to uproot. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. You guys saw that over, the immigration thing, right? The culture is fully shifting there, isn't it?
Minneapolis is wildly different. They've passed laws now where they can now play prayer for the Muslims when they do prayer. They can play the prayer music over the loudspeakers in the city of Minneapolis. Like
what other religion? If you allow one religion to do it, you in theory should allow all, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like that opens doors. I believe everyone should be able to practice whatever religion they want. But when you're forcing it on other people, that's where I have a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, again, if immigration is great. That's why we have
my whole family came through Ellis Island.
That's why we have what we have here. But you have to be able to assimilate. Yeah. Because it's the same for states, right? Like, why would you leave that state and bring all that to our state. You know, like we don't want that. It's the same with people from other countries that have a terrible country that they live in. By all means, come here, get a piece of that American freedom, but you have to. Don't bring your problems from the country you came from to our country.
Assimilate. You're moving here, like assimilate to the culture. It doesn't mean you can't. In a lot of ways, if you want to speak a different language with your family, that's totally fine.
Awesome. Yeah.
But don't come in and just automatically try to bring all of that and then force it onto everybody else. My problem with a city like that, where they're going to play prayer music in the morning, what happens if somebody wanted to do that with Christian prayer?
Yeah.
What would happen in that city? That was an argument with family this weekend. Here's the deal, man. Like, you could come over to Coeur d'Alene because, that's when we got called Proud Boys and said that we wouldn't last long in Portland.
That's nonsense.
Because we, like, literally...
First of all, I've kicked Antifa's ass many a time.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I know.
So we would, but we're also not, we don't associate with any of that crap. Come on.
I'm not too concerned about... Well, I'm not going to go down that road. But I said, if you come here and you walk through downtown Coeur d'Alene with your white dudes for Harris shirt, people might look at you and like chuckle a little bit. But guess what's not going to happen?
Yeah, you're not going
to get jumped.
No, not at all. Because guess what? I know a little something about that guy, but that's fine. Like that's your opinion. That's totally okay. And there are people that have Harris. It's not like that here.
No.
Like, you're still open to having some discourse.
You'll get heckled a little bit. I'm sure you'll catch a little flack.
Maybe,
but
you might.
You're not gonna
good nature.
You shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't. You're
not gonna feel threatened.
No, you're not gonna feel in fear of your life.
Right.
Well, maybe somebody wearing that shirt would get called a name, and then
I think they wake up in fear for their life.
Yeah. So, but realistically, like nobody's gonna back them into a corner and jump them,
right?
Or just like punch them in the face.
On the flip side, you wear a MAGA hat and walk through Portland.
I think you might get jumped.
You're definitely getting jumped.
Yes, without question. So why? What is the difference there? Idaho has I don't know if this is accurate, but it seems that way. I'll just say one of the highest gun ownership rates per person probably in the country. Mm-hmm. A lot of military and law enforcement retired up here. Why is it that you could walk through downtown Coeur d'Alene and you can't walk through Portland?
A sanctuary city of Portland that is welcoming to everybody.
All values. They preach one thing and then do the other.
Yeah,
right. It's very strange to me. It's like a mental health crisis.
Have you seen
a broad mental health crisis?
Wild.
Yeah.
Have you seen the videos of Dearborn, Michigan?
No.
It's like full. Is that like fully Muslim now?
Fully.
Yeah.
They have this. John was just telling me this, but apparently they have Muslim on their or Arabic on their patrol cars. And like there's a video circulating.
Strange.
There's a video circulating of the mayor. So they wanted to name a street after some terrorist guy did bad things to Americans. And a guy at the city council meeting who lived in Dearborn his entire life was like, I don't agree with this. Like that you're gonna name a street in our city for someone that has done bad things to American people. And the mayor told him he cannot wait till that dude leaves the city and wanted him to get out.
Wow.
And if you can, there's a clip circulating of Dearborn, Michigan right now. And you would think you were in the Middle East. Like it is, I mean,
it's surprising.
And you probably clipped that into this video, but it's wild. And that is those things like that assimilation. That's not happening. I'm all for people coming here and being functional members of society and living the American dream,
right.
Building a business, growing your family and, not living under oppression, but don't bring your crap here that you fled from.
Yeah.
Don't come here and scream death to America, please.
Right.
Well, and
exactly.
And try to suppress everybody else's way of life.
Yeah.
That's where I think it's gotten so freaking weird, man. When it comes to like your, religion and what you practice.
Yeah.
That used to kind of be you could say it openly, totally cool, but that was kind of a private thing.
Right.
It's like that kind of guides some of my values and beliefs, but I do that on Sundays or I do it in the morning or whatever that is. And everybody's like, all right, cool. Like that's what's up.
It's almost like we're building to a holy war, which is I didn't see that coming.
Right.
It seems like a whole nother element that's happening. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, here we go.
I feel the same way about sex, though, right? Like, whatever you're doing, like, that's kind of a personal decision for you, and that should just be behind closed doors.
Yeah, unless it involves kids, then you're fair game.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I mean, all those things just used to kind of be a personal decision, and they stayed personal and private. But now all of a sudden, if you don't subscribe to those things, if you don't willingly succumb to them, suppressing your own values and beliefs, then you are blank, 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 blank.
Right.
Whatever Mad Lib insults they're going to throw in there. That's the hardest part.
Everybody, they want you to believe what they're saying and accept them. But when you say, that's cool, I don't, but that's okay. Like, I don't agree with you, that's okay. Then you're blank, 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 and all these things, because you won't accept what they're trying to push on you, but they won't accept yours either. So like, okay, so I'm supposed to accept what you have to say, and what you're doing is okay, but I can't do the same thing, and you're not going to give me that same respect. And that's the problem.
Makes no sense.
There's no mutual respect anymore.
No. How about you just do what you're going to do? Like, privately, that's fine. And even if you want to go prayer in the morning, like, that's cool. I'll give you 10 minutes to go do that. I would do that for any other religion, right? But it doesn't need to get played over the PA for the entire city, because that's just more of the forced assimilation.
Yes.
And if you don't agree with that, you're a racist.
Exactly.
No, bro. I just want the same standards. Isn't that what we want for our kids? You want them to be able to grow up and have the same rules applied to all of them?
Yeah. Well, I may be wrong on this, but I've heard that they've enacted Sharia law in Dearborn, Michigan.
That is
the same. What is circling around happening in Minneapolis with the new mayor that is probably going to get elected there.
Dear God.
Well, there is one thing I will say about this, because it's been brought up a couple times. Be like, oh, you guys in Idaho don't know what's really going on. You know, it's like a secluded state, and you guys are just, you're up there and you don't see what's going on across the rest. We are sheltered when it comes to some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. But do you know why? Because we're proactive in keeping our community safe, right? And instilling good values in our kids, and having a little bit of that throwback mentality, and not buying into that stuff. Yeah. And I am myself, and I know you guys are too, committed to keeping it that way.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have a damn thing to do with race or anybody moving here from different walks of life.
No, because I guarantee if they moved here, they would be welcomed in Coeur d'Alene or Post Falls or any community, as long as they assimilate with the community here.
Yep. Right.
That's not too much to ask.
That's not too much to ask at
all. And
all.
if you don't like it, move somewhere else. That's fine too. We're short on time, because I know you have a call at 12.
We do. I want to call out a couple real quick.
And hit that asterisk.
Yes. Yeah. And there's a few that'll just surprise you, because a lot of people that'll pick them out. If we had a list of what people would say is the most violent states in the country, I think you'd get Illinois. Illinois is at 23. That's one behind Montana. Mm-hmm. Montana has a higher total crime rate than Illinois does. California is sitting at 8. That's crazy. Wow. California's sitting at 8. And then if you look at New York is 21. So it is just ahead of Montana. New York's another one where it's
What's up, Montana?
I know. Well,
maybe they're not padding their statistics.
You know what it is? Well, it's I mean, if you've watched Yellowstone, it's an incredibly violent state, according to the show Yellowstone.
Apparently,
people get shot all the time.
Gunfights.
Texas is sitting at number 12, so it is well ahead of New York and Illinois.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, there's some. Yeah, and Arkansas is pretty high too. I just wanted to point out a few of those. Ohio is sitting at number 31. That was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Some of those bottom ones are surprising. I mean, Massachusetts is at 45. A lot of those East Coast, Connecticut's just above it. I mean, those are sitting pretty good.
That surprises me, man. I grew up over there.
I know.
It surprises me that Iowa
some violence going on.
Closer to the top, because there's just nothing in Iowa.
Right.
A couple big cities, and that's probably where this comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
What about Eric? What about the old District of Columbia, and how come that's not on this list?
When you pull these stats, it's interesting, because I'm just going off of what I asked Chad. I said, why don't they include the District of Columbia? Because it accidentally spit it out, and it would be by far and away the highest crime rate in the country.
That is
would be our
the
state
center of this country.
Yes, our capital,
the heart of America.
And it said it doesn't quantify it. The FBI doesn't quantify that as a state entity or something. And it is a little bit different because it's funky. Yeah. But it said that their total crime rate would be 8,602 per 100,000 citizens. It would be double what New Mexico is.
Well, I know why. Obviously, it's because Trump lives there.
Right.
That's why it's so violent.
Trump.
That's why it's so violent. But when they're talking about like pushing law enforcement entities into cities, I mean, that's where a lot of people are like all freaked out and saying we can't do that. You got to, I don't know, and I'm not going to say I'm in favor of that or not, but
Sticky.
Just
It's sticky.
It's a fine line. I still like wiping drug boats off the face of the planet.
I'm all for that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
If you can
freaking
confirm
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
And yeah, I'm all for it.
Yes, I mean they're declared.
That sends a message.
They're declared as terrorist organizations, and it's the leading cause of death in adults from 18 to 45.
Mm-hmm.
How many Americans are we going to let them kill? The fentanyl counterfeit opiate deaths, fentanyl overdose deaths have taken more citizens on our soil than we've lost in every major world war except the Civil War overseas.
And yet it barely gets talked about.
Oh, yeah, weird. Well, that's
Weird.
because it's a massive industry. I mean, you're talking about a lot of pockets getting lined when it comes to.
Well, and I think a lot of things people don't realize with that is that it's not just heroin users or fentanyl users that are dying in these overdoses. It's the guy that buys his weed from the heroin dealer. And the guy, I mean, this happened when I was working. We had an overdose. It was a high school kid smoking weed in his basement, and he OD'd on fentanyl.
Shit.
And thankfully he didn't die. But the only thing we could think of is that the dude was chopping his stuff up, and he wasn't handling it properly. He was probably wearing gloves, but then just went from cutting up his heroin to bagging up his weed, and got fentanyl on the marijuana.
Right.
And then the kid smoked it, and he almost died. And some teenage kid just smoking a little weed in his basement.
Kids shouldn't have to worry about one mistake ending their life these
Right.
days. Thank
Yeah.
God we didn't have that when I was a kid.
And so, like, I think that's, those are also in those statistics where it's like, there's no proper handling. These guys are just cutting this stuff up. And
That's the frustrating part about even these stats, man, because I know Washington doesn't call those homicides. When it's
Wow.
actually identifying criminal statistics.
Wow.
So I don't know. That's where it's even with these numbers. I think in a lot of these places it's worse.
On that note,
Yep.
let's call it, boys.
Yep.
Thank you guys for sticking around. We have lots of videos coming out like this. Check out our judicial watch group that we're working on here. Eric and I have had 2 episodes of that right now. That's been a big hit because we firmly believe that providing information to the public is the first step in making sure that the great state of Idaho stays the great state of Idaho. Our team, all former first responders and or veterans, we specialize in helping conservative families find their freedom right here. So if you guys are thinking about making that move, give us a holler. One of us or a few of other of us that aren't on the camera are going to answer that phone and help you guys out with whatever you need because we understand what you're going through out there.
Yeah, especially in, we know there's great people that live in some of these states, and we're not. This isn't.
We will take you.
Yeah.
We will take all of the great people, and it will just make Idaho even better and better.
And those people pay attention to what's happening here because they don't want it to turn into that state.
Right. Yep.
I like a lot of those ones that are moving here because they get it.
Yep.
Hey, let's stay proactive. Proactive maintenance is always better than corrective maintenance.
Yep.
By the time you get to corrective, something's already broken.
Yep. On that note, thank you guys.
Yep.
Catch you on the next one.